got it. It is 1:04, April 22nd, 2022. I call this meeting of the Wellfleet Select Board to order in accordance with the temporary suspension and enhancement of the open meeting laws allowed by the General Court of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The first order of business is announcements, public comments, and open session. Public comments must be brief, and the board will not deliberate or vote on any matter raised solely during announcements and public comments. Are there any? Okay, I'm not really expecting any. So with that, we'll go to the order, our main order. Yeah, we'll go to the 80 State Highway pre-special town meeting planning. The first thing that we need to discuss is a request to the Mass. Is it the Mass Housing Partnership, Harry?
Yes, it is.
Okay. A formal request to the Mass Housing Partnership to ask them to help assist the town in doing our due diligence for the 80 State Highway purchase. Has everybody seen the letter? Mike, you're muted.
I have not seen the letter.
Okay, I'll share screen. 22, share. Okay.
I didn't notice it in my email, so.
Yep. So it should be up on your screen now. It's relatively short.
Okay.
Harry, would you care to present at all?
Well, I guess just to summarize, the Mass Housing Partnership has funds available to support municipalities for housing-related acquisitions and projects. I know when we did the Lawrence Road project, they funded our due diligence and RFP process to the tune of $25,000. And apparently they still have current fiscal year funds that are not yet committed, and seems like they're willing to provide us with some assistance, both financial and technical. But we have to have a request from the select board to trigger that process. I know Elaine has already spoken with them about this.
Okay. Are there any questions from the members of the board?
Nope, looks fine to me.
Okay. Helen, you're muted.
Hi, I don't have a question, but as should always be the case, I think, although Ryan, you are doing this perfectly, could we please have it signed by all of us, just to have us on record?
It needs to be, if everybody commits to signing it today.
I can sign it today, and we have signature stamps. John, do you have a signature stamp?
I'm not aware of whether I do. I've always signed the letters myself.
Well, I can
Yes.
sign it today, but
Yes.
how about the rest of us?
Everybody has a signature stamp.
Rebecca's not here to stamp it, so
Yeah.
we all have to sign it today. I can sign it today.
Yeah, I can too.
Before 4?
Yep, I can.
Okay, it's just really good having who was on the board then.
Yeah, it's either that or to authorize the chair to sign it. It needs to go out today. Or should go out today.
I'm good either way. I just prefer us all having our signature on it. Thank you.
Okay. So I move to approve the letter requesting assistance from Mass Housing Partnership on behalf of the select board.
Second,
Okay, roll call vote.
John, I.
Michael, I.
Ryan, I.
Ellen, I.
Okay, and so just get down there today and sign it.
I'll do it right after the meeting.
Yeah, and then whoever's the last one, get staff to scan it so it can be sent. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. And then the other, let me stop sharing my screen. So this is helpful. There we go. So the other thing that I wanted to talk to the board about and seek authorization for I'm asking the board to authorize me to form a working group for the 80 State Highway property. There's a lot of ground that we need to cover in relatively short time frame. And we need to be able to pull together a group really quickly and work pretty intensively to get this property over the finish line. Are there any questions? Mike?
Yeah, I'd just like to volunteer to be part of the group if that would be all right, as a sort of dual member of the select board and the housing trust.
Okay. Helen?
Yeah, so let's think of names and then
So I'm asking for authorization to form the working group. The members of the group I would select.
well, I would prefer that we talked about some possibilities, Ryan. This is very much a select board decision, not one person's decision on the select board. Forgive me. You're capable of doing it, but this is a group decision. Who were you thinking of just off the top of your head? I'm sure you have good ideas.
I do have a list. It's depending on if they're amenable to it. I include, Kathleen and Harry, Elaine. I have to be careful about having quorums of boards, so I need to double check on some of them. I would like Gary Sorkin as well, but again, this is where we might accidentally form a quorum.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. I do have a question. This would be a municipal group appointed for this purpose. It would have to meet under the.
It would not be appointed. I would select the members of the working group.
I really don't agree with that. I think that's not a good method for transparency in this situation, which is going to receive a lot of scrutiny. And Ryan, you're right. In some ways, it's more efficient to do what you're suggesting. It's not that I doubt your ability to do a good job with this, but I think these meetings for a planning group, a work group that's going to be, intensively preparing this, right, as it goes before the public, should also be something that happens with full transparency. So it's not that much more complicated to simply have a number of names brought up. You could read the list. You've mentioned a few. We could decide on it, and then we could formally appoint them once we had an agenda item for it. Is this on the agenda for today? I didn't see it.
It's part of the planning process. So,
Okay.
and I need to be able to start having this group meet basically immediately.
Well, we need to start having
Yep.
it immediately.
So, okay, Mike?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if this is going to be public, if this is outside of the scope of the housing trust as it is, as it's currently formed. If we're like what the working group entails, I guess I'm not sure if it's outside of the scope of what the trust is actually doing, but I'm not sure exactly the definition, the charge for the working group, I guess, is the question.
So it'll, be responsible for preparing materials for the public, following up on executing the terms of the contract, with the deadlines included in the contract, and then working on financial planning. So it would include most likely a member of the finance committee. I've asked Fred if there is somebody that would be willing, and they haven't really decided yet on it. And there's just, so if that makes sense. But John?
Yeah, I would have to reiterate what to the board, what Ryan said. Time is of the essence in getting this going, especially if we're to have the support of the finance committee on a project like this. I would really like to see this move quickly.
Yeah. So with that, I'd move to authorize Chair Curley to form a work 80 State Highway Working Group with the members selected by the chair.
I'll second.
Okay,
Discussion.
okay, Helen?
So are you going to record these meetings? Are they going to be open to the public?
A working group doesn't need to be recorded. There are certain things that are still under, I would say are include personal information that we need to screen. For instance, the financial records that the Gauthiers might provide, that those will probably include personal records that should not, probably be disclosed to we have people with leases, we have, a whole lot of, I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, that could, forgive me, if I may, that could all be done in executive session in discrete sessions. But I really think that this needs to happen in public. It needs to happen in a way that the full board is responsible for, not just delegating to one person, no matter how good that person is. And John, yes, it needs to happen right away. And why this isn't what we're formally doing at this meeting, I don't know. In other words, discuss who might be on it, and if they're willing, appoint them. If they're willing, they haven't applied. This is not this is public business. This is not a private organization that needs to get things done quickly. It's a municipal organization. It needs to be done openly and in public with full record keeping. I'm sorry, Ryan, I don't know. I'd like to ask Harry what he thinks about it, if he doesn't mind.
Harry?
Well, there is certain information that I think should not be disclosed because it includes things like the existing contracts with campers for site reservations and trailer rentals and so forth that has, names, addresses, and contact information. So there is a reason to keep some of it off the public record. As far as, the kind of work product, evaluating inspections, evaluating, financial review, I'm not as concerned about those things being public. I would favor being public wherever we can do so without compromising somebody's personally identifiable information.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well.
So that's what I'm trying to go for here. And therefore, we need to appoint this municipal group. They can meet in executive session when necessary. And, have it be a normal, this is like a task force that's, it's a working group task force. And I don't know why anybody thought for 1 minute that it shouldn't happen in the normal way. Forgive me, but it will blow up in our faces in terms of trying to get this done in a way that the public feels fully informed about and happy about in order to get it passed at town meeting, if that's what you really want to do. Which I think it's important to bring it to town meeting in the best possible way. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't have weeks to recruit and have people go through a formal application process and to be appointed to it right now. I don't know. I mean, it needs to meet like quickly, like really quickly.
We could do it next week.
No, that's too late. So the motion's been made and seconded. Yep, Mike?
I guess I'm still a little unclear. Is this working group existing in order to do the due diligence of the property only?
Due diligence and develop presentation materials and work with addressing some of the finance committee concerns regarding financing of the property. And then anytime it needs to, it will, that out of that would produce a work product that would go to the respective boards and committees for approval. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just trying to parse this in my mind as far as, I understand the need to quickly get onto the due diligence aspect. As far as like, presentation materials and those sorts of things, I don't know if that should be. I guess I'm unclear on the need to rush into that.
Yeah, it's Kathleen Nagel would like a unified message, which this would help develop.
Okay.
So, Harry?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think that there are three general tasks that need to be accomplished. One of them is the due diligence that we have an opportunity to do to decide whether it's appropriate for us to proceed with this, with executing this purchase. Inspections, financial record review, that sort of thing. A second task is developing a plan on how we're going to operate the campground. Now, that probably should be in place before town meeting so we can explain to people what the plan is and why that particular approach has been selected. But it doesn't need to be done by the end of April. That's less time sensitive. And then the third thing is public education outreach, which is going to be continuing and has already started with the FAQ and posting the press release, but it's going to be a continuous process now through town meeting, and that needs to start right away. So there are two things that have to happen right away. One thing that has a little less time constraint. Second comment is I'm not sure Kathleen has the bandwidth to do this. She expressed some concerns to me about that. And the third thing is, as between Mike, Elaine, Gary, and I, that's the majority of the housing trust. So to the extent this arguably falls within the charge of the housing trust, we're probably in a posted public meeting minute situation anyway.
Okay. And we'll see what they, we'll work on who's on it. So, John?
Yeah, two things. One, coming up with a plan for how the campground, store, and so forth is going to be run is going to take some time, and it has to be ready for the publication of the special town meeting warrant in August. So that, which will be here before we know it. And second of all, the concerns of the couple of members of the finance committee need to be addressed, and that needs to happen post haste. Ordinarily, I would agree that delegating that much power to one member of the board is something I wouldn't want to see. But under these circumstances, I don't see where we have a choice.
Yeah. So with that, can I have a roll call vote? And I'll work with Harry and trying to assemble a team.
Can we mention the charge of the group of the working group in the motion? I just think it's important so that it's clear what they're charged with doing and what would be the sort of.
1 second. Let me write it down so it's coherent.
And do you think, Ryan, quickly, do you think that it makes sense for the working group to be doing all three of these things?
Yes. They're all kind of related, even though they are separate. It's more than likely that the group will break out into separate teams to oversee or to work on different parts based on the expertise of the individuals involved. And recommendation, one second. Helen, you're muted, by the way.
Could I ask a question to Harry while you're doing that quickly? Harry, do you think that this is something that would just fall into the housing trust and then executive sessions on something that would have to be kept executive? And we
Well,
could add in members or invite members of different groups, or do you think this is
I
something that
think
needs to be separate?
if I may speak to that, I think that, first of all, I anticipate that it's likely that there will be some non-housing related uses of this property. So it's not something that I think clearly falls within the authority of the Housing Trust to execute. If it were, we would have, perhaps negotiated the agreement on our own and told you about it after the fact. Who knows?
Okay,
Uh,
that makes sense.
So I've kind of viewed this from the start as we put the deal together with the expectation that it was going to be a town of Wellfleet municipal project, not a housing trust project.
Yeah.
To the extent I've got to pay attention to open meeting law as it impacts the housing trust, I of course will do so.
Okay, so, the charge would be to adjust financial planning, or to develop a financial plan and answer any questions from the finance committee regarding the purchase, oversee and present on due diligence, develop presentation materials for the public and to address community questions, and to develop recommendations for operating the campground as a business. And most of that would then go back to a board or committee for approval. So, Helen?
Yeah, thank you for allowing this discussion to be deliberative. None of this, including a charge, and you just read it, so I took it in, was anywhere mentioned on this agenda. It was just planning. There was no mention of possible formation of a special group, which is very different than, the generic planning. And that disturbs me. It wouldn't disturb me if we drafted a charge together here, but I'm going to say it again. This should not happen in private. This is the kind of planning that is going to affect the whole project. And if people in the public feel they can't at least listen to a recording, the chair could, whoever is the head of this committee could say, we're just going to work very hard on this. We don't have much time. You can submit comments if you want. It could be efficient. And John, respectfully, we had this meeting scheduled this week. There could be a similar meeting to appoint a group. You could ask all of them. It doesn't have to be a very big group if you wanted to function, efficiently. And, just do it next week. I mean, I would vote to appoint, any one of those people to this, and it would be set to go and they could start meeting right away, I mean, we set this meeting up, what was it, earlier this week. So I don't think this is going to make it, it's going to slow things down. And we could have appointed people today if you put it on the agenda. Sorry, I sound a little pissed off. Excuse me.
John?
Sorry.
John?
Well, I was just going to amplify what I said about the planning aspect of it with the campground and so on. The questions that I'm hearing and seeing predominantly have to do with with how that's going to happen going forward. So that's why I think it's important that that be addressed in this group, so it's clarified on the town meeting warrant.
Okay, so can I have a roll call vote?
Aye. John, aye.
Ryan,
I,
aye. Oh,
I am hesitant a little bit to do this when we're talking about developing, we're not developing planning for the use. are
right.
we?
No,
Just a plan to manage the campground,
yes,
like options, basically.
yep.
Okay. Yeah, I
We're
think,
100% not planning on the use or the final planning for it at all.
so, I'm sorry, Ryan, but I've been working all day in the sun and
Yep.
can you just reread the charge for me and then,
Um, to address financial planning, and any questions, from the finance committee, regarding finances, oversee and present, or basically oversee the due diligence and present the results of it. Develop presentation materials, and address community, questions, and to develop recommendations for operating, the campground.
okay. Recommendations. All right, I will vote aye.
Okay. Ryan, I.
Helen, nay.
Okay, motion carries 3-1. Harry, is there anything else that we should address? Right
Didn't
now.
you have the letter to DHCD on your agenda?
Oh, sorry, I thought that was the MHP one as well.
No, the
Okay,
MHP one's for technical assistance. The DHCD one is to support POA CDP's application to enter into the financing 40B process. That's the letter you drafted earlier this week.
the 95 Lawrence Road,
Yep.
that's on the agenda on Tuesday.
Oh, it is? Okay, sorry.
Oh, that's fine. All right, John and then Dan.
My hand should have gone down. I'm sorry.
Okay, Danny.
Yes, Ryan, just a question. If your intent is to appoint a FinCom member to this working group, you would, either they or you would please let me know, because the charter requires the moderator's approval
Yep.
for finance committee member to sit on any other town committee or board. So
Okay,
be happy to do that, but just wanted to do that as a formality.
yeah, I'll check with them. They're meeting next week, I think. I don't know.
Is your intent to appoint a member of the FinCom?
Hopefully, I've spoken with Fred and Kathy about it, and they hadn't decided. The FinCom hasn't decided who
Okay,
they.
well,
Yeah.
What, I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Okay, Helen.
Yes, this is not a town committee or board. This is a group that's meeting outside of that category. A. B, are you intending to at least record the meetings?
With the comments today, I would say yes. So yes.
So that would mean how would somebody access it, given it's not a public record?
We'll treat them as public records, except for the ones regarding confidential materials.
Of course.
So, Harry and then John.
Just two very quick comments. I am away the week of May 2nd, all week, and probably will have difficulty doing much of anything. And the second thing is that to the extent you might consider me, my skill set does not extend to social media. So any kind of social media messaging, I will be a spectator.
Yep.
Other than that, I'm fine. Thank you.
All right, John.
Just wanted to address through you to Helen. I fully respect your reasons for objecting to this. And if there was any intent to discuss the ultimate use of the property, I would have been on board with your concerns with this. Under the circumstances, I felt compelled to support Ryan's motion.
Okay.
Thank you for that communication. I have one more question.
Yep.
Who is taking minutes of this meeting?
I'll figure that out. So
This meeting right now?
Yeah,
This
Oh.
meeting's being recorded, so I would assume Rebecca's gonna.
Yeah, Rebecca's taking the minutes of this meeting,
Thank you.
so. Okay,
Yeah,
Gary,
I can do it. I'm listening.
yep,
You're here. Hi, there you are, host. Thank you. Sorry.
Gary,
I believe, Ryan, when we appointed the 95 Lawrence Task Force, we got a ruling that as a task force of the town administrator, we did not require us to have public meetings and/or have minutes. So depending upon how you qualify this group, you may be outside of the need to do that.
yeah, but with Helen's comments, let's not debate about it, but with Helen's comments, I do see the need to do that, so.
That's fine.
Helen, and then.
Yeah,
I'd like to wrap.
I was going to say to Gary, you're absolutely correct. I remember that. And I also remembered that it became hard to have good horizontal communication between that group and the other groups that needed to know about it because of that. Thank you.
Okay. I mean, I would really thank everybody that did work on 95 Lawrence Road project. So that project is awesome. So with that, I move to adjourn.
Helen, second.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
John, I.
Oh, wait, Danny?
Maybe I misunderstood, but I thought that there was wasn't one of the agenda items to discuss the date of the fall town meeting. Am I incorrect on that?
No, we set the meeting, the fall town meeting at September 10th on Friday.
Sorry, so
On Tuesday.
Yeah, on Tuesday.
that decision's already been made?
Yep, September 10th.
Saturday with a rain date.
That's a Saturday. September 10th is, all right, I guess I didn't really have any input in that. I was gonna, I mean, it's not on the agenda for this meeting?
No,
All right.
I can add it to another agenda if you'd like.
Well, I mean, can I just offer my suggestion that it be the 17th rather than the 10th, given that the 10th is only 5 days after Labor Day? That was my thought, but I'll if you, I guess I would ask that you maybe put it on next Tuesday's agenda if it's not.
Yeah, I don't think we should enter a discussion, but I would agree
Okay.
it should go on the agenda and we can talk about it in the next meeting.
Let's put it on the agenda for a future.
Yeah, no discussion, but Danny, officially what we decided, I'm just sharing the information, was Saturday, September 10th, rain date the next day, and another rain date the following weekend, Saturday, the 17th, and rain date the 18th. That's what we decided.
Okay, I never saw that on the agenda. I would have tried to be at that meeting. So,
Yeah.
okay, fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, it was. Yeah, but I'll put it on the agenda on Tuesday. So right now. All right, so the motion to adjourn has been moved and seconded. Can I have a roll call vote?
John, I.
Michael, aye.
Ryan, I.
Helen, I.
Okay. Motion carries 4-1, or not 4-1. 4-0 with, yeah, with one absent. So, all right, thank you all.